Hello, I'm Sarah Bernstein, and I'm the president of PILI's board of directors.
John Burke, PILI vice president.
I'm Daniel Lang, PILI's secretary.
Hi, I'm Kyle Peterson, PILI's treasurer.
And I'm Michael Bergman, PILI's executive director.
Welcome to PILI's annual Pro Bono reception.
Hello, my name is Michael Bergman, and I'm PILI's executive director. Welcome again to PILI's annual Pro Bono reception. We are excited to bring you this year's event virtually as a week-long celebration and are grateful to have you join us. When we made the shift this year to a virtual event, we were in the throes of a global healthcare crisis. But as I record this, our country is yet again reckoning with the systemic racism that plagues our nation, ignited by the murder of George Floyd. We stand with all of those who fight every day to end racism in all of its forms. In December, we announced that our theme for 2020 was Defining Justice. Our intent with this theme was to spotlight our new mission statement, that PILI engages, inspires, and empowers those advancing equal access to justice. But as this year has unfolded, the idea of defining justice has taken on even greater meanings. Since March, the PILI staff and our pro bono volunteers have been trying to define justice over and over again in a very real way. At first, the question focused on how can we ensure justice during a pandemic when courts and help desks are closed and when it isn't safe to gather. But with recent events, we were reminded of the long-standing question of what does justice mean in a system that has routinely discriminated against people of color as well as other poor and marginalized people. And now we are left to ask, how do we not only define justice, but also how do we advance equal access to it at a time like this? I don't yet know all of the answers to these questions, but I'm confident that defining justice is going to be an ongoing conversation that we will be having for years to come. And we're going to need to listen to a lot more voices than we can spotlight in a video or even in a week's worth of videos. But I do want to take a moment to share with you some of the notions of justice that we at PILI have within the context of our work, in hopes that it sparks some reflection within yourself, your workplace, and your social circle. We at PILI believe equal access to justice is a fundamental right. We believe serving those in need through public interest law and pro bono service is the key to ensuring that right. We believe the Illinois legal community should work together to provide these services, and that it is PILI's role to facilitate this collaboration. We expect our work to result in a more accessible justice system for all. Here are some examples of how we've defined justice in the last few months. Justice has meant giving someone a place to turn when courts, help desks, and clinics are closed. That's why we've launched the COVID-19 Illinois Free Legal Answers Task Force to answer civil legal questions from people in need in a virtual setting. Since the stay-at-home order was instituted in mid-March, we've answered nearly 600 questions for people in need. Justice has meant making sure clients in need have access to free legal services. That's why we've still placed 20 cases with pro bono attorneys during the pandemic through the Illinois Armed Forces Legal Aid Network and our Conflict of Interest Pro Bono Referral Panel. Justice has meant making sure that agencies have enough resources to serve their clients this summer. That's why we placed 48 law student interns and 63 graduate fellows at public interest law organizations around the state working virtually to support these organizations. Justice has meant making sure that these interns and fellows and agencies can provide the best possible services to their clients. That's why we held a virtual legal service agency roundtable about hosting remote internships and fellowships during the pandemic, and why we were offering all of our virtual summer programming to any law student or graduate working at a public interest law organization in Illinois this summer. Beyond these specific examples of our recent work, we believe that justice must be provided equitably for all, regardless of race, gender identity, sexual orientation, immigration status, socioeconomic status, or other characteristics. In an article where he analyzed Martin Luther King Jr.'s oft-used quote, that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice, author and activist Michael Denzel Smith explained that some have interpreted this quote to mean that there is a long road ahead, but that justice is ultimately inevitable. He argues that we must be active participants in bending the arc towards justice, and that while there are those who understand this, he also notes that we have failed to do the work of establishing a clear and widely accepted notion of what justice is. He wrote, "How we define justice will determine the work that we do to achieve it. And unless we do the work to define justice, we never will." As members of the legal community, it is incumbent upon us to turn the promise of equal justice under law into mere words on a building facade to a true and meaningful expression of the kind of justice we can and must provide to all. To do that, we must work together, listening more than we talk, to define justice. And then we must work together to bend the arc towards that justice. And while I don't have many of the answers, there is no doubt in my mind that pro bono work is both an important part of defining justice as well as ensuring its reality. And while there is still a lot going on and there is still a lot of work to do, we hope you can use our virtual annual pro bono reception as an opportunity to tune in every day at 11 o'clock this week and celebrate with us and some special guests all the good that is happening right now. On Tuesday, we'll be spotlighting all the law firms and corporations who have been named to the 2020 Pro Bono Recognition Roster. On Wednesday, we'll talk about how lawyers can help during this time through pro bono service and legal aid. On Thursday, we will recognize some of our star volunteers on PILI's first ever Pro Bono Volunteer Honor Roll. And on Friday, we'll bring it all together in a final celebration. We stand at the ready to define justice, intent on it being not just accessible, but equitable for all. We hope we can count on you to join us.
Hello, my name is Sarah Bernstein, and I'm PILI's board president. It has been an interesting year to serve as president, to say the least. We started 2020 by moving into a new office space after having negotiated PILI's first rental lease in its 40-year history. We were so excited about the new space, and then, just as staff was getting settled in, the COVID-19 pandemic hit Chicago. I kept in touch with Michael as he and the staff moved their work remotely and had to cancel upcoming programs, events, courthouse help desks, and legal clinics. I know it was devastating to them to watch a lot of what they've been working on come to a halt. But then I started hearing from Michael about their new plans. They launched the COVID-19 Illinois Free Legal Answers Pro Bono Task Force and had over 100 attorneys volunteer. We continued to place pro bono cases around the state, and they scheduled a virtual legal service agency roundtable and took all our intern and fellow programming virtual. A couple weeks ago, when protests started in response to the murder of George Floyd, I worked with Michael to put out a statement against systemic racism and of solidarity with those in the fight against racism. Within a day of that statement being released, an advisory committee was being formed to discuss how PILI could better address issues of race and diversity within its work. I've continued to be impressed by how PILI has reacted to the ongoing changes in our country and crises in our justice system. As we start to reopen and face a potential crisis in our courts as a result of the pandemic, and the ongoing work to fix our courts to better provide justice to people of color, I am comforted to know that PILI will be part of those conversations and working to advance equal justice across Illinois. PILI's staff, Board of Directors, Alumni Network Leadership Council, and Young Professionals Board are willing and ready to work towards a more equitable justice system for all. But to do this work, they're going to need our support. We are grateful to the many firms and corporations who have sponsored this online event, including our justice level sponsors, Baker McKenzie, Foley and Lardner, and Kirkland and Ellis. We are also grateful to the many foundations that contribute to our pro bono program, including the Illinois Equal Justice Foundation, the Lawyers Trust Fund, the Illinois Bar Foundation, and the Jerome Mirza Foundation. I know there are a lot of asks for donations happening right now, as there should be during this time, but I'm asking you to include PILI in your donations. One of my other jobs as president is to work on PILI's budget in the coming year, and we are looking towards a future with more uncertainty than we've seen in years. It's unclear where our economy is headed and what kind of success we will have on our fundraising efforts in the immediate future. That is why we are asking for your help to raise $10,000 from individual donations over the next week. If you have ever felt inspired at a PILI event, participated in a PILI program, or believe in our mission to engage, inspire, and empower those advancing equal access to justice, please make a donation at www.pili.org/donate, or by texting PILI to 243725. Even $5 would make a difference and would help our organization plan for the future. We're grateful for your support. We also hope you will visit us each day over the week to come and continue to be a part of the celebration of pro bono in Illinois. We are excited not only to celebrate PILI's pro bono program, but the tremendous pro bono work being performed across the state by law firms, corporations, our partner public interest law organizations, and thousands of pro bono volunteers. Thank you for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of PILI's virtual annual pro bono reception.